You're listening to the AID.Network.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Poster Countdown. On today's show, Billy Bauman returns. Do we get along? Huh? Do we mix it up? Well, Mitch Putnam's here to play referee and to bring us the 10 best posters from the month of September that were posted over on omgposters.com. Don't forget to follow along with today's episode and see all the artwork that we talk about. Become a member of the Circle of Trust. Sign up today to support the content, to unlock the second part of today's episode, and to get our big old ball of content. Over 840 episodes waiting for you to unlock all of them. Each one of them having bonus content that's over a half hour long and many exclusive episodes and workshops that were never made available for people that don't pay. That's right. You got to pay. Get on the other side of that paid wall, baby. Visit the new AID.Network. See our new website. Easier to get through all the great stuff that we have up there for you to explore. Become a member today. Join the Circle of Trust. AID.Network. If you listen to the Poster Countdown often, you know that one of the types of printing that we talk about is giclée prints. Giclées are perfect for a photographer or a fine artist wanting to get into making copies of their prints to make editions. Well, you know why. To make a little bit of money, to sell them to their clients, to sell them to their customers, to grow their business. Let our partners and sponsor at Jack Prints become your partner in giclée printing. With over 4 different types of stocks available, it's the perfect place to take your artwork or your photography so that you can turn your art into a little bit of passive income, or who knows, land that next big project. Go to jackprints.com/circle of trust. Ask them all about their giclée printing and make sure you mention Adventures in Design, and you will save money by listening to this show. That's jackprints.com/circle of trust.
Coming to you live from the Saul Rosenberg Studios, broadcasting worldwide into all ships at sea, here comes another action-packed episode of Adventures in Design.
Good morning, good design, everybody. Welcome back. It is the Poster Countdown for the month of September 2018. On the show this month, as we do every month, we have Mr. Mitch Putnam. Mitch, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Well,
Hello.
that's a loaded question. How are Billy and I, or how are things? And on the show this week, I have my best friend, Billy Bauman. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
How's it going?
How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm so honored to be the person on, or recording at least, the day after the breakup show happened. I can't tell you enough.
No, don't worry. It was really, from my perspective, Mark was just mad at me. But I guess you can break up with somebody if it's just one-sided.
Yeah, typically that's how it works. I have some comments about that show.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to hear it.
Billy, you're a psychopath. You want to be invisible so that you can kill people that don't agree with you. Okay, so first of all, as a Democrat, as a person that's for democracy, you want to be invisible to kill people that you don't agree with politically. That seems a little bit ironic.
First of all, I'm not a Democrat.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Make America great, Billy.
No, I'm definitely not that either. I believe in benevolent dictatorship.
All right, well, I don't want to get into this. But anyway, that was insane. It made you sound like a psychopath. Secondly, don't quit your day job. You leading the show was the worst show ever recorded.
Yes, it was a bad show. Listen, in my defense, if Mark would have said, and he's done this in the past maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been busy today. Can you prepare some stuff for the show so we have shit to talk about? Then I could I could have handled it.
Oh, this was a show where if your biggest fans were in a hotel room with you guys having this conversation, they'd be like checking their watch and being like, hey, I really got to get out of here. They got something else going on.
100%. Just to rebuttal what Billy said, I showed up with a completely prepared show, talking points, topic, and everything. I had to abandon ship because I saw that he wasn't in the mood to go there. So yeah, there has been times when I'm like, hey, Billy, I'm kind of jammed. Can you come up with some talking points tonight? It wasn't that kind of night. I came prepared. I just had to abandon ship.
Well, anyway, it was. I wish I could say that it was at least entertaining. It was like the Bricky Draplin standoff minus the entertainment. It really was.
Yeah. Wow.
So good. All
Well,
right.
you put it.
Well, with that being said, let's get into our
Succinct.
number 10 poster of the month.
Hey, before we do this,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to do this, but I have another one of my things that happened to Mitch stories.
Oh, by all means.
Do it.
Right when it happened, I was like, I gotta tell this on the podcast. So first of all, let me say that I'm not making light of this situation. I'm not making fun of anyone here. This is purely a situational conversation, okay?
Go for it.
So I get on the airplane to go to Austin, and I'm flying on a budget airline.
Yep.
Okay. And right away I noticed the two flight attendants, both males in their probably 50s. I noticed both of them be assholes to people. So like right away my impression was like, these guys don't like their job.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get about halfway through the flight. And I want you to keep in mind when I tell this story, this story takes place over the course of like 45 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm sitting in the front row, literally in the front row on the aisle. Okay. And the bathroom is right here. And I start noticing like some sort of ruckus going on. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I start paying a little bit of attention and I just see a woman like halfway in, halfway out of the bathroom door. And she just like keeps asking these flight attendants for like different items, different things. And she's like, you can only see the back half of her. And she's like hard at work on something in there. Okay. And I'm like, what? I can't watch this. This is too weird. So like I look down and for a few minutes and then I look up again and she's still like hard at work or whatever. But now there's a man's pair of pants in the doorway of the bathroom. Okay. So then I'm really like, this is too crazy. I gotta like look at, so I like look at it in a magazine, right?
Yeah.
Because again, I'm front row aisle. So next time I look up, she's still hard at work on something. There's the man's pants, and then there's piles of poop all around the floor, of which she is paying no attention to. She's just still hard at work with her hands on something in the bathroom. Okay. And this just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And then, so then I'm like, so then I'm really like, holy shit, this is like a situation. I can't look at this. This is too crazy. It's like starting to smell bad in the plane, you know? The next time I look up, there's just a dude with no pants or underwear on standing on a pile of napkins in the aisle of the plane.
No.
Like being worked on or whatever. Okay. And at this point, his son comes up who's like in his 40s probably. And so at this point, like they're just fully working on this dude with no pants or underwear on in the aisle. And then to make
he's elderly, man.
Not like super old, like our parents' age.
Okay.
Okay. So as like to make this an even crazier TV-esque scenario, right when they're like fully, I mean, there's still like shit everywhere and they're like fully working on this dude. Right when this happens, ding, we have begun our descent into Austin. We'll be on the ground in 15 minutes. Okay. So I'm like, holy fuck, what's going to happen here? This is so good. And like, the reason I mentioned the flight attendants being assholes earlier is because they were like biting their fucking tongues so hard about this whole situation. Like they had to have been dying inside because they were like, I don't get paid enough for this shit. Basically, is kind of what they had to have been thinking. So they like need to get in their seat like real soon because the plane's about to land. So like just more like napkins are pulled out and wipes and stuff. And eventually he walks back to his seat with no pants or underwear on. Okay. Gets in his seat, gets his buckle on.
Does he like pulling his pants down to cover his balls?
His pants are gone. They're like
his pants, his shirt. Is he pulling his shirt down?
I couldn't see his balls. He had like a dress shirt on with a tail and a front or whatever. Right?
Oh my god.
So he sits back in his seat, and so I look over because they're like 2 rows behind me or something. I look over and I'm like, hey, is the deal here that all your clothes are all checked? Is that what's going on here? And the son was like, yeah, we flew up to because he was in the hospital for blah blah blah. Like he had some medical stuff going on. Right?
Oh man.
And so I was like, do you want me to get a pair of shorts out of my fucking luggage and give him a pair of shorts or something? He was like, no, they're gonna let him be the last person off the plane. I'll run and get our luggage and then we'll take care of it. And I was like, all right. So we fully land with this dude like half naked or whatever. And then as everyone's walking out, there's still poop all over the floor and stuff. And everyone's
Do you have to walk over the poop on the floor?
I mean, I think they did their best to clear the actual walking aisle, but again, we were on a budget airline. They had very limited supplies, and you could still see the sheen of poop. It was Sun Country, which is a Minneapolis airline. But they had there was a sheen all over the bathroom still. The floor was not clean.
Yeah.
So it was insane. And then it was pretty funny because then on the way back, however many days later, same crew, guaranteed same flight, and I was one row away from the seat in question, and I was like, holy shit, I missed that by one row.
That's what I was thinking is poor son of a bitch that gets on that plane that sits
it'd be like
in
my
the
icy
spot.
hot story, but with poop. But yeah, so anyway, so here's what I was thinking about afterwards is first of all, this is how I would classify the people that were in the worst situations on the flight, okay? Number 1, the flight attendants.
Yep.
Number 2, the son.
Yep.
Number 3, the dude. I mean, it's his own poop, so it's whatever. But can you think of a worst case pooping scenario? Because let's say you poop your pants at Disneyland, right? In the middle of 1,000 people. Those people are all moving in a sea around you. This dude is on a stage,
right,
where all 200 people in the plane, it's the only direction you can look, and it was a nighttime flight, so his only light in the plane is right above him. He's on a stage, basically. Is there a worst case scenario?
When I had my have you guys ever had a CAT scan?
I have not.
Well, when you have a CAT scan, they give you this liquid that you have to drink a shit ton of, right? And it wasn't a big deal, but the next day I shit so many, it just flushes your system out, right? So that it can get a clear thing. And so if this guy had a CAT scan the day before.
No, I actually know what he had. Okay, so he didn't, but he had neuropathy, which is where you can't feel extremities very well. So he just couldn't feel very well. Let me be clear. This was not liquid diarrhea or anything. It was just poop. Just normal poop or whatever.
Like logs?
Yeah. Not like logs, like soft poop.
Oh,
soft poop.
Wow.
But not like diarrhea.
So he was it was oh shit, poop's happening. Too late.
Yes, but then he got into the bathroom. But imagine being in that situation where you realize you're covered in poop and you're in an airplane bathroom with no clothes on the plane.
Yeah.
It's hard to think of a worst case shitting scenario.
Dude. Yeah, I had a panic attack on a plane coming back from Austin because we ate at that fancy restaurant, that steakhouse the night before. And this is back in the day when I had bad stomach problems, Mark.
Yeah.
And got on the plane, and as soon as I got on the plane, my stomach turned. You can just feel it.
Yeah.
It just goes, and I'm go, oh crap. And I started having a panic attack on the plane. I was up and out of the bathroom maybe 8 times. Nothing was really even happening. It was just panicked. I had a panic. And when the plane started going down, they said, buckle in. That even made me more panicky.
Right, because now I got to put a seatbelt over my explosive stomach. Yeah.
I got up anyways. The flight attendant was in the back, strapped in already, and I was like, it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And that sucked. And so that is why, remember Mark back in the day when I used to not eat at all?
Oh, Billy stayed at my house in California, and on the last day, he's like, I don't want to go out to eat. I'm not going to do anything. He just drank Ensure?
Yeah, maybe he had some Ensures. But
wait, so did you stay on the toilet during landing?
No, I got out of it.
Because I think that's what I would have done if I was the dude. Just stayed in
just stayed in there. Well, depends on how many bathrooms that place had, but
only one.
Even if there was only one, sucks. I'm locking that door, and I'm just like, no.
Oh, listen, the bathroom was shut down anyway.
Right.
So you might as well stay in.
I would just commandeer it and be like, I'm flying super cool first class.
But I kept looking at the dude to see if he was bummed out, because I was gonna be like, hey man, no big deal. Fuck what anyone thinks about this. But he looked fairly oblivious to it, and and I did give a nudge to the flight attendants on the way, and I was like, you guys are doing great work, far above your pay grade.
Dude, the only way that I would be able to wrap my mind around being pantless with my shit everywhere in the plane on that little stage is if I had just had like a major surgery, or I knew I was like within the reach of death, I think that you would just be in this tunnel vision of like, I'm still alive. I got to get to my next appointment. Like the only that would weigh heavier than all this is that if you were in some serious medical condition, like I don't even have personal pride anymore. I'm just trying to survive. That's the only way that I could get around that.
I think so.
Not to make this the poop show, but just one other real quick 1 minute story. That's another one of my favorite stories. Is Justin Ishmael, that used to work in Mondo, was at Comic-Con one year, and he was going to the bathroom. He was peeing at Comic-Con, and there was a kid, like a dude, next to him in the stall, and all of a sudden, for some reason, I don't know why this happened. This is like some spontaneous combustion shit, but the whole toilet exploded underneath him, and he was just in a pile of poop and water in the middle of Comic-Con.
Oh no!
Oh my god,
that sucks.
That's another really bad one.
Oh my god.
Anyway, let's get out the post countdown.
Yeah, let's get on the poster countdown.
This is how you run a fucking good podcast episode without Mark.
Yeah, I'm just sitting back listening to the show.
Okay, first of all,
hey, so
you're bringing this back up again.
Hey, Mark, on Twitch, it's crazy. You just push a button on an app, and that's how easy it is.
Listen,
hey, Mark, you probably don't know this, Mark, but
there was a lot of tension coming from Mark, so it created very awkward situation for me. It wasn't like we were having banter and I just couldn't come up with anything. Banter less because I was getting nothing, so I was like, it was very difficult.
Mitch, did you know that Billy was accused of plagiarizing his one big talking point of would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? that was from another podcast?
I don't know if you call it plagiarism.
Oh, from a podcast?
Yeah.
If it's from a podcast, I don't know. That might be off limits. You didn't cite the source.
Not really from a podcast or radio show that you can listen to as a podcast. This American Life, it's very famous. I'm assuming other people have heard it.
Little radio show people probably haven't heard of called This American Life.
Exactly. It's fine.
I agree with everything Mark was going to say about that. Anyone that's going to pick invisibility has shady intentions.
Yeah, I don't trust that in somebody. Okay,
I agree. It is shady what I wanted to do, but I still think it's.
You could just like fucking be invisible and put a tape recorder in a politician's office and get him fired instead of killing him.
Yeah, that would work too.
All right. Hey friends, I interrupt today's poster countdown to remind you, have you seen the new AID.Network pen designed by our friends over at Lincoln Design Co. and manufactured by our good friends at pengamestrong.com. Don't forget, if you're looking to make a pen, as you should be, holidays are coming. Pens are an easy sell, low price point, inexpensive to create, high profit margins, free shipping from pengamestrong.com, no hidden fees, a great way to make merchandise to sell this holiday season, or maybe to send out to your clients. Thanks for hiring me. Let's work together in 2019. Speaking of the future, tomorrow, Hammer Time 50 drops, and we made a beautiful pen, Hammer Time 50 pen, with Hammy leaning back on the HT logo, designed by our buds over at Lincoln Design Co. Only 50 of those go out tomorrow to celebrate episode 50 of Hammer Time. Make sure you get one. Log in, goes live at midnight along with the episode dropping for Circle of Trust members. Get in there, get your pen. Only 50 available. You'll love it. Available at midnight at AID.Network/store. Thank you, pengamestrong.com, for taking care of all of our pen needs, as well as our friends that listen to the show. Remember, reach out to Greg over at pengamestrong.com. Tell him Mark Bricky sent you. Our number 10 poster for the month of September 2018 comes to us from our friend and former co-host, Mr. James Flames. He did a couple of posters last month. One's in the countdown, one I want to talk about. Number 10.
What's the website that you're looking at these on, Mark?
Thank you for asking. It's omgposters.com, or if you're a Circle of Trust member, log in. We've got them all laid out there waiting for you. So James did a poster for Dave Matthews Band. It's what we've come to expect from James, guy and gal sitting on a car, lots of vegetation, all these flowers everywhere, the signature James Flames sort of melty logo, and the meteors coming down. This one right here, it's what we've come to expect from him. But as we know, James is always a man of constant evolution, always trying something different. The background in this one is a little bit different. All of a sudden we lose all of our detail and we get this pattern. But the next print that I want to talk about is part of our talking points is the poster that James did for Humphreys McGee. This poster I find to be very interesting. And what I wanted to talk about is you have the hillside that the guy's standing on, the dogs, the tree with the keys. You have the logo, which is another one of his signature type styles. But then you have a different style for the ocean waves. It's flat, but the colors aren't necessarily muted. And then you have the background that the kid is painting in the space. And I'm curious, and really for both of you guys, do you feel like, I mean, we all know that James is amazing at illustrating. We all know that he's been on this quest to just get better and better. But do you feel like this poster has a flow, or did James put one too many ideas into this print?
I think the ocean is the one too many. To use a phrase that Rob Jones got from his mother and uses all the time, it's one too many pieces of jewelry here, I think.
That's a great phrase. I'm still in that one.
If the ocean was minimal, or if just that cliffside went to the edge, I think you can get away with the background and space looking very different from the foreground. Now, it depends. Here's another thing, though. This to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
What are concert posters if not experimentation ground?
Totally agree.
Right?
Totally
Where it's
agree.
like, he probably isn't the biggest Humphreys McGee fan on earth, I'm going to assume, just based on statistically. And so if you have this job and you want to try a bunch of different things, who knows? Maybe he comes away thinking, you know what? I liked the part I did with the ocean so much, my whole next poster is going to look like that.
Right, right.
But if you're judging it as an illustration and as a composition and not as a, what the motivations are, then yeah, I do think it's one too many pieces of jewelry.
Billy, what says you?
Yeah, agreed. I really think it's interesting what he's doing with the tree and the leaves and these sort of like circle shapes that are in the leaves, and the grass. And then I kind of wish the whole poster was that executional style.
Yeah.
I completely agree. There's like some really interesting stuff, but it needed to be sort of pared down a little bit.
It's kind of like how everyone wants to listen to a band's album and not the greatest hits record.
The thing that I would find interesting about this is that the space and the foreground illustration are in the same amount of detail.
Yeah.
I don't mind the sky, the gradient sky, and the guy riding in the sky. That's what we come to expect from James, is this sort of quirky storytelling. I just feel like if the waves were rendered or a little bit darker, like if there's something about the waves that broke this composition for me, but I would love to know what James was thinking, because we all know he doesn't half-ass anything. Everything the guy does is deliberate and well thought out. I just looked at this, I'm like, man, this is a very interesting talking poster, because there's something going on here that I couldn't quite get my thumb on, and I wanted to see what you guys thought. Yeah,
and if you look at the Dave Matthews Band poster, he's sort of mixing three different styles in that one as well, but I think that it's pulled off a little bit better just because the two sky styles sort of melt into each other. So yeah, I mean, it's, listen, we're judging a poster based on a 5 square inch area. I think it's still a pretty good poster, but that's what we do here, is try to say what we would have done to make a good poster great. And that's what I think applies here.
Absolutely. We're always just looking at what people have done and talking it out to figure out, what do they do? How is it working? What feels different? This is how we all learn. So James,
there's parts to both these posters I really like.
Yeah. Here's the thing for James, though. This is what blows my mind about his generation of poster designers. We all know what the budgets are. To do illustrations this intense, he's probably trying to figure out, is there a way where I can go hard on some of it and kind of go maybe a little bit loosey or a little figurative in other parts? And I respect that a lot.
Although, does James print himself?
Yeah,
he does.
On something like Dave Matthews Band, especially, I mean, when you consider printing, he's probably getting paid more for this job than most freelance illustration jobs that are going through Delicious or wherever else.
True.
I assume.
Yeah.
Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying today's poster countdown. Remember, it is sponsored by my friends over at Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform with over 20,000 classes in design, photography, marketing, technology, and so much more. In fact, If you're listening to the show and you're new to the world of poster design, check out this class, Poster Design, Textures and Halftones for Screen Printing, or Rock Poster Design, from concept development to execution. Both of those classes are led by our regular friends on Adventures in Design DKNG Studios, but if you're looking for a new voice, try Think Like a Designer, Making an Art Poster by Chip Kidd. You can also take classes in logo design, illustration, photo editing, social media marketing. You name it, they've got it. Whatever you're trying to crack, whatever you're trying to figure out, go over there, take a course, do what I do. Watch them while you eat lunch, right? You're going to spend 15 minutes at your desk. Why not spend that 15 minutes trying to learn a new skill? So whether you're trying to deepen your professional skill set, start a side hustle, or just explore a new passion, Skillshare is there to keep you learning and thriving. Join millions of students already learning on Skillshare today with a special offer just for my listeners. Get 2 months of Skillshare for just 99 cents. That's right. Skillshare is offering Adventures in Design listeners 2 months of unlimited access for over 20,000 classes, just 99 cents. To sign up, go to Skillshare.com/adventure. Again, go to Skillshare.com/adventure to start your 2 months now. That's Skillshare.com/adventure. Let's get back into the poster countdown with Billy Bauman and Mitch Putnam. All right, our number 9 poster comes to us from poster legend, Chicago native, Jay Ryan. He can kind of work in a pattern, but this stupid assholes print that he did, this is so out of character for him. It's more graphic than what he normally does. I really like the line art in here, and I've seen that. I don't know what the breed of that bird is with that, the orange and yellow.
Red-winged blackbird, I think. So this was actually his piece. This was his piece for the vacuum bird show that Billy made fun of on the last show.
Awesome.
And so we got a printout of it.
Just because I said it was called "Put a Bird on It." Go on.
We all know how you like to tear down anything that's built up, but if Billy had been asked to be in it, it'd be the greatest show ever put to earth. But anyway,
Mitch, please.
This was his piece for that. It was a really small piece, like it's like 4x6 in person, probably the original. And so it's actually a really, really tight rendering for him as far as those lines and how little it was. But yeah, he was really happy with the image. He said that it was the biggest response he's ever gotten on social media to anything. So he fast tracked a print out of it. And I like this about Jay because a lot of Jay's charm comes out in a lot of his prints, but he not his sense of humor when it does come out is actually really spot on.
Let me ask you a question. As the galleryist, there was no paperwork, there's no issue with him creating an original piece. He owns the rights. If he wants to make a fucking print out of it, that's totally fine.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
What I liked about this and what jumped to me is we all are super fans of how Jay does typography, how he illustrates characters. I just thought it was so fun to see him do just a little bit of a different spin on that, and he has such a unique way of looking at the world. Like, I remember when he was doing those prints to raise money because his garage caved in or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that series. And whenever he, I don't mean to talk down to the guy, but I feel like when he really pushes himself and challenges himself, he's got such a unique perspective on the world that's always when he wins me over the most.
No, I agree. And if you look at the 2 prints in this post, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the top one is the Jay Ryan knows he can make this and it will sell because this is what people want out of him.
Yes,
right?
agreed.
Like this is exactly what it is. And then the other print is I'm going to try to make something like I've never made before. And of course, like the second one is the one that it's the artist print, and the top one is the one that probably sells more. So I like that he put those out at the same time.
I almost feel like with the top print, Mitch, that's something that if he's sitting around the house at night during family time, that's an illustration that he could just do on a piece of paper, almost like drawing a pattern. He knows those characters. He probably did a couple of them. You can just backfill and just this guy goes here, this guy goes here. But I really feel like on the Stupid Assholes one, this is his problem solving. And I think he's got such a unique perspective that I really liked it. All right, our next print coming up here is brought to us by... Wait for it. Okay. The Last of Us timed edition poster by Sam Wolf Conley from Mondo. Is this the really good looking guy in the underpants?
I don't play this game, so I don't know.
No, Sam Wolf.
Oh, Sam Wolf. Really? No, that's Jack Hughes. Sam Wolf is also a young guy. He's a painter. Sam Wolf has had a really interesting journey because Sam was a pretty serious gallery painter. And it's a hard world to maintain, and some people like it and some people don't. And so he, for whatever reason, has transitioned into doing more commercial work. He's done a lot of record stuff with us. And then this client in particular, Naughty Dog, that we do one of these every year with for this game, really like his work, and so they chose him for this one.
Any issues with screen printing this? How many colors was this thing?
I can't remember how many colors it is, but at this point, it seems like we could screen print about anything.
Yeah, that seems like that's where we're at. You know, when you say that he's a painter, that doesn't surprise me because look how controlled but loose and figurative that foreground is down there. And the way that this thing just naturally clips into the darkness, I really loved it. If this was a younger guy that was inspired by the world of posters, I would say that this is somebody not borrowing, but influenced by the Rich Kelly look.
Yeah. I mean, he's not terribly far from a contemporary of his. His work is usually a little darker in tone. But yeah, I mean, I would put them pretty close to the same category, especially if Rich did more originals. This print did really well, too,
I
which
bet.
is pretty sweet. Because we've had ups and downs with Last of Us, just kind of based on each poster year. They like us to do timed editions of it, and so we did. And this year we sort of had an internal debate over how many we're going to sell, and I way undershot this.
Okay,
Billy, let me ask you this question:
to say how many you sold?
I mean, I'm sure it hasn't been announced yet, but I don't think it's a real big problem to say. It's like 1,500-ish.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome. Billy, question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the type? Does this minimal approach work for you? Does it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, the fact that it's sort of, it's pointing down into the image is really nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't distract, but since it's up there alone in the darkness, it's small, but it's noticeable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's not in your face, but it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. I love that.
Go ahead.
It commands your attention, but doesn't distract you. Like that's the perfect use of the overly small type. If you can get the balance just right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it is. I mean, I think it's interesting to try non-traditional looks like this when you're trying to market to a new audience. And so the fact is there's not that many video game fans buying silkscreen posters. And so it is an interesting process to feel out what they're going to like, if they want it to look like a movie poster, if they want it to look more like an art print.
I just wish it said "This is us," and then I'd be pulling out that credit card right away.
Oh, this is us as B grade parenthood.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The light sourcing in this print, like because you know that your favorite jeans are getting ready to go when the knees are looking lighter and you start to get those little fuzzies and a good friend's getting ready to say goodbye. Like, I really, really like the denim in this, and I'm a big guy in the denim scene.
The girl is such a big part of that game. Was there a debate of whether or not to have the girl in this, or?
So I think we've explored a number of different characters. This is our fourth one, I think.
Yeah.
And I will say this: everything we do with them is pretty heavily directed.
Yeah.
Is this one of those games where there's a lot of reading?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No,
I think it's like a horror-ish game, isn't it, Billy?
it's like a survival game.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like kind of like
post-apocalyptic. Yeah.
choose your own adventure type deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's linear. It's linear.
Okay. Next up, we have a talking point. Delicious Design League did a series of prints, all based on spirits.
Didn't make the top 10.
Didn't make the top 10, but it made a talk. Well, when I do put Billy's posters in the top 10, it normally becomes contentious. So I thought maybe I'd take a week off from complimenting him, because that seems to be when we go the worst. And we've talked about these before on the Shop Talk, but this series of prints, I like it. I'm curious to see. They've been around for a while, Billy. How are they selling? How are they doing? Anything that you would do differently?
First of all, let's give credit where credit is due. These are all by Graham Irwin.
Okay, the whole series.
I didn't know that. Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Before you get into how they're selling, what's the what prompted this project?
Jason wants to try to go after large wholesale accounts.
Yeah.
So we want to try to get this into like furniture stores and home goods, homewares kind of a thing.
Yep.
And so he thought, the guys talked and they're like, hey, what if we did a spirits series of prints? And we're going to be doing more in the series. And and that's it.
I will say this, that knowing, before we get back, because I do want to know how they're doing, but knowing that these are all by Graham, this is a fucking impressive spread of versatility.
Absolutely.
I like some more than others, but holy shit, I would not have guessed these were all by just Graham.
I would almost say he maybe went too diverse, where if you give a consumer too many options, they don't know how to make a decision. And if you're putting a line sheet together and you're sending this out to wholesalers, it might be too across the board. Like, I mean,
maybe, but the reality is, if it were going to hit in the level that Billy's talking about, it's probably just going to be one of them anyway. So you might as well throw the Hail Mary in every direction, because we've all done craft fairs with the common man or woman walking up and being like, I wish it would look like, do you have this in blue? And so I do think
our version of having it in blue. We also have a bunch of sizes in all this stuff. So let me ask you guys, which one's your favorite?
The gin.
Yeah, I think the gin is probably...
The gin and the sake are my two favorite ones.
Yeah, I also think if you're going for the furniture market, like if you're going for that kind of a consumer, the gin 100% fits above the sofa. The one that I think is illustrated really well, but it's maybe the biggest miss, is the absinthe.
I agree, it's the biggest miss.
And it really feels like young Billy Ballman, and I was shocked to find out that you didn't do that one.
No, that's if you know Graham's people and his faces and stuff, that's signature Graham for sure. But I obviously know him more intimately than you guys.
Mitch, let's say that you and I got hired to do art direction for Delicious. We both agree that it's a super talented shop, correct?
I would quit, but yes.
Do you think this would be if I was working with Delicious on art direction, this is what I'd try to do. I would try to get them to make things not so sophisticated and so complicated. Do you think that maybe this series is a little overthought for the average consumer?
I think that maybe. I think the main issue, though, is if you're making spirits posters, I think there's too many faces in these. I just think they're too humanized, and that's not the same thing that stores want when they want to hang. You're essentially trying to fit in the same market as like the people that sell the posters with like 50 different vodka bottles or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's probably a little bit stylish to like think that they want a woman or anyone's face in there, especially like the vodka one in particular. That said, I think the gin one probably works the best, because again, then at least you're playing with period,
yes,
and you're playing with sort of an Art Nouveau-ish look, and it looks older than it is. So I think you've got that there. I think on the rum one, you've got the possibility of like tiki culture eating it up, but then I think that it's one step too far with the words, probably. So.
I mean, I just think that the sake print as a piece of art is phenomenal, and as a piece of graphic art and tie-in illustration in, like the off registration type vibe on the three little, shot glasses of sake and the split color on the bottle and the lady's face, like it's phenomenal. I feel like it's way too smart for the space that it's trying to be marketed to.
Well, I will say this, and this isn't a shot at you at all, Billy, but if the sake and the gin ones were concert posters, they'd be some of the best concert posters Delicious has put out in an awfully long time.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean all of this with love. I'm a huge fan of Delicious. Really huge fan. I love this style. I love the way that the company runs. Really, really like Jason.
But Mark is trying to make this fight episode part 2, which I'm totally down with. But
yeah, no, I find this series to be really, really interesting. And I didn't know. I think, Billy, when we talked about this on the show, did you tell me that Graham did all of these?
I thought so.
Because that's even more amazing that you told me and I'd already forgot and was like, oh yeah, the whole shop worked on these. Like, way to go, Graham.
Yeah.
This is pretty amazing work.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that you guys have done really well with, which is really hard to do, is you have sort of melded into a house style, obviously with variations throughout, but these look like delicious posters.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, our number 7.
You guys never let me answer the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
how's it doing?
The gin one is the best selling one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No doubt.
What?
I said no doubt.
Yeah.
Are they doing well or versus other things or?
I don't. I think they're doing okay. I don't really know.
I will say,
really do the orders.
I will say this: if someone came to me with this idea, because people often do that, I would say my response to them would be, "This sounds like a tough sell."
Yeah,
that would be my response, because.
Well, I don't win all the arguments over here.
Yeah,
just like the podcast.
I love reading between the lines on that. The line is real wide to read between on that one.
But I've done plenty of art prints that haven't sold at all.
No, and listen,
You know what I mean?
it only takes one to hit, and that's how this works, right? Like
Yep.
we all know about my ended Quince endeavor, and that was sort of the same idea. Was if I could get one of them to hit and get one of them to make it across magazines, then that would do it. It's just so hard to do that.
Yeah, it is. No, I mean
there's a glut. There's so many. There's too many posters.
There's a glut, and we've ruined the scene where all anyone will buy is pop culture. So
yeah,
it is a different bit of a market. Hey friends, coming up in part 2 of today's poster countdown, we'll look at tarot card deck design as well as a new art print from Zoe Keller, who's working with the vacuum. We learn all about, does the vacuum audience allow new people to come in? Do they accept whoever they bring? We look at an amazing poster by Ken Taylor for Queens of the Stone Age and ask ourselves, what the hell is Jason Edmonston up to this time? So much more comes up to you in part 2. We look at more posters, we dissect why they're successful, as well as looking at side stories in the design industry. To hear all of today's episode, make sure you become a member at the Circle of Trust. Sign up today at AID.Network, our new website, easier to navigate through all the good stuff. Join today, become a member of the Circle of Trust at AID.Network. Let's jump into part 2 of today's episode, available only for Circle of Trust members. Let's get back into it. Billy Bauman and Mitch Putnam on Adventures in Design, the poster countdown, September 2018. Our number 7 poster comes to us from Arno Kiss, who seems to be a regular on here. He had a couple of different batches of posters. It seems like he's working at a brisk pace, but he did a print that I really enjoyed. It was a bit different for him, kind of a little mix of old school, new school. He did this Primus poster of like a demon that's also like a cavern. It's got some gems, crystals in its mouth. I know that he was just recently in California. I know he just recently went to Disneyland. I'm seeing some influences here of the Disney crystals when you're doing Big Thunder Mountain. But I love the color scheme on this. He didn't overplay his hand. And Mitch, you and I have talked about Arno sometimes adds too much. And I felt like this print is showing him maybe finding his level of constraint.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that sets this one apart from so normally he has a really tight sort of half-tony shading technique that he uses that is really hard to screen print. If you look at all of his other posters, especially like if you look at the other one in this post with Government Mule, the background of it, the reason I like this one is because he doesn't have that, and he worked in flat colors, and it looks very different for him, but it's really refreshing. Do you guys remember years and years ago when Angry Blue did that Melvins poster that looks like Disney skeletons?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the same kind of thing. When he pulled back, he actually made a better poster, and I think that's kind of what happened here.
Yeah, I enjoyed the this is a good poster to me because it has a graphic nature to it. it has an illustrative nature, but it doesn't take over. Like, I always expect a gig poster to be kind of loud, kind of obnoxious, and not just a fancy illustration. And I like this color palette a lot. You know, I hate the color purple, but this altogether, I like it. And then to kind of add the Primus effect to it, there's no reason for the confetti, but man, it really sells just the gimmick of this being very Primacy.
Yeah, I like the confetti a lot. I kind of wish there was something else in the mouth besides the crystals.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the thing that I wish was a little bit different. The eyes.
I love the eyes.
I love the eyes.
I love the eyes.
Like
That's one of my favorite parts.
Interesting.
And what I'm saying is I like the eyes, and I think the crystals are pulling away from the eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish maybe a figure in there, maybe you know what I mean, a little creature, a something. That's completely subjective. I do like this poster. It's really cool.
I really like how he worked the date and venue into a lot.
Yeah, that's really fun.
That's a smart way to just put it in there. There is one thing that I'm a little bit interested in. Oh, no. Now I understand now. Those are earrings on the left of
that was the part I was going to say I could do without, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I like those trees too. So way to go, Arno. It was cool to see this. And he had another batch of posters for the month. I don't know how quickly I could get to them.
Yeah, those are terrible. Ugh.
He had another batch. Let me see if I can get to him real quick, because there was another one of those in there where he was kind of in this in the same. No, this is. Let me.
The Queens of the Stone Age one.
Hold on here with me, folks. Did a couple 311 posters. Queens of the Stone Age. I thought that was good. It was in for a while, and then I ripped it out to replace it with this one. The Humphreys McGee. This, once again, it has a Disneyland influence into it. I'm seeing a little Indiana Jones here. But this one, take out the smoke, maybe calm down with the type and stuff. You know, like, I feel like the Primus is better than this one because there's a level of restraint. But this flat illustration style that he's getting into, go that way, my friend. Go into that light. Let that guide you. And these 3 levels of storytelling here, let that guide you. You're getting really close to something, buddy.
I think the thing we can all agree on here is the Queens of the Stone Age, this Humphreys McGee, and the Primus are all probably better than anything else we've seen him do. So that's a really good sign.
Yeah, no, he's getting dangerously. And Queens of the Stone Age looks a lot like Radiator Springs. You took a lot out of your California vacation, my friend.
Yeah, I believe we printed this Humphreys McGee poster.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you guys print his stuff.
Because he's a fucking foreigner. Way to take our jobs.
Thanks, Arno.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for taking our jobs, man. All right, our number 6 poster comes to us from no stranger to the countdown, Mr. Tom Whalen. He did a couple of posters for Pearl Jam at Fenway Park, and this was a little bit different. You know, we get so used to seeing Tom doing big characters, you know, from the world of Marvel, from the world of Disney. It was interesting to see him do his own thing. And I have a question for you guys. I love the graphic nature of this. I like the September 24th. I like the live in concert. Like, he's so good at working in a small space. He does it really, really well. But can somebody explain to me why the bottom half of the dinosaur looks 16-bit or 24-bit, 8-bit, whatever it is?
And why that texture is not in the arm or the neck?
Yes. Like, once he gets to his... I mean, he's kind of like the guy in Mitch's plane. He's only wearing a shirt.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say this actually looks like Mitch. I really like the texture that he's got going on. The scaly Godzilla texture.
He's got pieces of it on the arms.
Okay.
Yeah,
but not a lot of it. But I like this poster. I think one of the things that Tom is sort of underappreciated on is his graphic design. This lettering and all these pieces of type are pretty amazing.
Who underappreciates him for that? Nobody.
The Mondo crowd. The Mondo crowd.
Well, the Mondo crowd don't know.
They just care about characters.
They don't know design. They know Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about this poster, so this is one of the few. This is not one. Well, this is one of the couple posters that Pearl Jam goes hard on, and so this is one of the best jobs in posters. Look at those AP editions, if you would, in the write-up. I sold and shipped these. And that's a pretty good payday for
a solid payday there, kid.
He didn't have to print them or anything. They just showed up at his door. Many of them.
Wait, how come you're not? You got to hook me up with a Pearl Jam job.
Me? I didn't have anything to do with this.
Oh, you said you shipped them.
He shipped them.
I did, because he said, hey, I have 400 posters to sell and ship. I don't want to do that. Can you do it? And I said, yeah, of course.
Okay, so you bring up a good point about how good he is with type. And I would say that Tom is a phenomenal illustrator because he's a phenomenal graphic designer. And all of his prints are basically just really, really good graphic design.
Yeah.
And, that's why he works so well when he's given the characters. And that's why I was excited to see this because, you normally see him putting together, an amazing Snoopy layout or a Marvel layout or a classic Disney film. I thought this one was really cool because it showed what he's capable of as far as his own character design. The only thing that threw me off was just like those two legs and the tail, and not really seeing that repeated anywhere else in the print.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's true. And also good on Pearl Jam for taking the chance on somebody whose portfolio is almost all character based and for one of their biggest jobs, because if they're giving Tom 400 copies, imagine what the fuck they're printing and selling.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's do this. This is something that I hate, but the rest of the world won't let me get away from it. So I'm
Billy.
311.
Oh yeah, that is. You guys are getting halfway there each time. No, what I'm talking about is the world of 311, the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I love it. Love them.
Yeah, and you guys did not one but 3 posts on your website this month showing
3 weeks of releases.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. Tell me about what all of this was for.
We did a gallery show. We've kind of meant to do this forever. We've had the Turtles license forever, and the nice thing is with Turtles is Nickelodeon bought the entire Turtles universe. So when you get the license from Nickelodeon, you get everything. You get the old animated show, the new animated shows, the movies, everything. And so we've always kind of talked about doing a gallery show, and it just never happened. And finally got it together this year. And unfortunately, it's kind of bad timing because the last TV show, which I told Billy is one of the best animated shows ever made, just ended and a new one's starting, and we did a bunch of stuff for the old show, and I don't know if anyone really cared anymore, even though they should, but yeah, the movie stuff and the video game stuff and all that stuff did really well. But yeah, we made a lot of Turtles posters.
Here's one of the standouts for me, and I'd love to hear some of yours. The Party Time by Mike Del Mundo.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was such a great composition. I mean, the rendering on it's fantastic, but all of this breaking out of the sewer and the characters stacked up and the way that everything sort of interlocks, I found this to just be like a really, really great illustration for a poster.
Yeah, so do you know Mike Del Mundo, Billy?
I don't think so.
He's a pretty famous comic guy, and we just kind of always wanted to work with him. And at the time, I think we cast a few things out, and he was interested in Turtles, and we just fully let him do his thing. And when he turned it in, the sketch, I was like, "There's no way they're going to approve this. There's just too much to approve." It's like your Disney poster, Mark. There's just too hard for. I'm not saying that in a jokey way.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
It's too hard for them to wrap their head around approving that many things, and they were like, "Yeah, it looks good. No changes." So, yeah, that's one of my favorites too. The one I would say outside of the movie stuff, which all was really good, Matt Ryan Tobin, these were some of his most successful posters yet, his movie stuff that he did for this show. In fact, one of them's not even on the site because it sold out at the show. But outside of that stuff, my 2 favorites from a doing them standpoint was the Stan Sakai one right above that. He's the person that's written and been the artist on Usagi Yojimbo, which is a comic that has been going for decades now about a samurai rabbit. Yeah, it's still going. I think. And he showed up in the last season of the Turtles show. Usagi Yojimbo did. Yeah. So we asked Stan if he would do a new print with them together because he's done some Turtles stuff before, and he did that. And then the other one above that, which we had Shane Hillman, we were able to track down the license for the old video game Turtles in Time, and we're able to do a poster for that. And I thought that turned out really good. Shane's pretty new to this whole scene, but he's really, really good.
That Shane Hillman one, that is a lot of heavy lifting. I mean, you have the 6 icons, the text, the foreground illustration of the 4 douchebags, then all the villains in the background in a different color scheme. Like, there's a lot of heavy lifting in that print, man. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, if you want to talk about heavy lifting, if you scroll up one more, that he did that Technodrome print too, which is also a lot of heavy lifting. But yeah, he's really good. He's an illustrator from Canada that we met through Mike Mitchell, and it's always kind of interesting to try out a new artist on something as big as a gallery show, and he absolutely killed it.
Oh yeah, Stan and Mike met at the Tesla charging station, and they thought, "Oh, you're a poster designer, I am too. We should work together sometime." Here's what's interesting.
How did you screen print the party size one? That's
John Smith, man.
Yeah, I'd love to see that in person. If it was
everyone else on this show, quit using John Smith because we need him a lot.
Yeah, but it's not just CMYK, right?
No.
Yeah.
Here's what's
we may have ended up having to do CMYK on that. I can't remember.
It just looks like impossible otherwise.
It's way too many colors. Way too many colors if it was done spot. Here's something that I find interesting. So we got these 2 prints from Stan Sakai. Or I'm sorry, Shane Hillman is the one that I'm looking at. So we have the 2 different ones from Shane. Isn't it interesting? This is my opinion, but like both of these are massive illustrations, a lot of characters, a lot of moving pieces. But because of the hierarchy that was set on the bottom one there, Turtles in Time.
Mm-hmm.
That one to me feels so much more impressive than the other one, because the other one is a little like the layout is a little bit flatter, you know what I mean? And I feel like the level of storytelling on the other one, and granted they're both probably the same amount of insane work, it just feels like you're getting so much more for your dollar on that one.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's a really good example of one of the things that's done so often is making things too monochromatic. And so it's sort of the early Ken Taylor disease, right? Where he does this amazing ink drawing or digital ink drawing and then fills the thing with 8 colors of gray, and you have no contrast whatsoever. Whereas Turtles in Time, you're using a really dynamic color palette. You're using, colors that pop off each other in the brightest way possible, like yellow and red. And I think just the color palette is one of the things that makes it feel so much better than the other one.
They drink.
Yeah, color palette.
I forgot about that Billy's drinking game.
Drink every time Billy's an asshole, you'd be wasted. I'm trying to get you 2 to fight again.
So the Matt Ryan Tobin one.
Yeah.
There's another print that he did that's not in here.
Yeah, he did both movies. So this is part 2. He did part 1 in the same style. It looks the same, but with different villains.
Okay, so on the Matt Ryan Tobin, Mitch, when an artist hands in something like this, that's this dark, right? Like everything's just black going up to its highlight, and just a little bit of base color and then a bit of highlight. Is there any safeguards that you guys have to make sure that something like this just doesn't become a black sheet of paper and just bleed the fuck out?
I want to say that it came in darker at first, because this is always my concern.
Yeah.
And if you ask Daniel Danger, he'll tell you that's the number one thing that I've always said in response to his work is, this is too dark. This is too dark. This is too dark. Matt's pulled it off pretty well. He has a few posters like this. He did an American Werewolf in London last year that was sort of in this same style. I think it's all based on how you're using it, because the way he's using the darkness in this poster is you're not supposed to see the dark parts, and you're only supposed to see the parts that the light is hitting.
Sure.
And so I think in that way, as long as you're, in this case, light brown or cream is showing up bright enough, which is the paper color.
Yeah.
I think you're fine. I don't think you have to worry too much about it. It's when you have your subject matter really dark that I think you have to worry more about it.
Yeah, good point. I know that something like this can look amazing in Illustrator or Photoshop, but man, you get over to the press and it'd be real easy for the first couple that you print, that last layer, like, oh, this looks great. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, we're fucked. We're fucked for the next 2 hours. You know what I mean, Billy, when it starts to close up on you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really easy to do because when you put down that first color, all you're judging it against is the paper, which is usually white or cream, so it could fuck everything up.
But this is an interesting series. I mean, to me, somebody who's not a fan of the Turtle universe, there's so many different versions of these guys, right? Like every artist basically knows the format of these 4 douchebags, but then people decide to like stylize them in their own way, and that's accepted by the fans, right?
Yeah, I mean, and they're all based on different generations of Turtle stuff. So you have the old cartoon, you have the new cartoon, you have the movies, and then we didn't even get into like there's now a new cartoon going that looks completely different. It's flat, kind of Teen Titans Go style, more for kids looking, and we didn't even get into that.
I love that Teen Titans style.
Yeah. What's interesting about the new show is the turtles really vary in size, which they hadn't really done.
And also, Raph is the leader in the new show.
Oh.
Tell me this: the Dave Perello one. Mm-hmm. We're all used to this style that he has. You know, this is his trick. The little swatches. There's even an X-Men one that he did in this month's series of posters. So this is something that really speaks to me. I love how graphic it is, and I love how he can get a whole universe in one print. But when you do a show and you got hardcore fans there, do they look at something like this like it's remedial because it's a more basic type of design, or does this really get people going because it's the whole universe in one shot? Like, I could see where people would see this next to some of the others and be like, this is kind of weak. But to me, I love how graphic it is.
I think it goes both ways. I think the reason we do this with him so much is because we want, when you're doing cartoon things, you want one person